welcome back to GTD. Getting you ready for Martinsville. I'm going to redo that.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah. All right. Welcome back to GTD. I'm Micah. That's Keegan. We're going to be getting you ready for Martinsville this weekend in NASCAR.
Teeny little track.
Little paper clip.
Yeah.
If you want to see our Miami recap that was out earlier this week, as was our preview of baseball's opening day and F1's recap of the Chinese Grand Prix. But it is short track time for the first time in a while for the Cup Series, because Phoenix technically doesn't count anymore, even though it will always be a short track in my heart. But off to Virginia this week. I'm pretty excited. I know Martinsville has not always been the best racing in the next-gen era, but it was improved last fall. We saw better racing, saw some cool-looking cars with all the rubber all over them afterwards. I still wish Lionel would have just done a full race set, even though they would never do that ever. Would have been really cool. But what do you think we can expect this weekend in Virginia at Martinsville?
Hopefully some more bumping, rubbing, and grinding. I mean, that's what we saw last week, especially with the tires and everything. So, I mean, that's old school NASCAR, really. That's grassroots racing. That's what you see on Fridays and Saturdays when you go to your local track. That's what you saw when you watched Bristol and Richmond and Martinsville in the good old days. That's hopefully what we're going to see.
The good old days?
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
MWR scandal?
But that's hopefully what we're going to see this weekend. And we're kind of basing our prediction and everything we're going to talk about on that. I think NASCAR has two options, well, three options, but two options that they should do. They're either going to run the option tire, giving teams complete control of when they want to run certain tires, or they're going to do what they did last fall, and the right sides are going to be a softer tire that degrades faster. But yeah, so those are kind of, I guess the third option is they just run normal tires, but I don't think, especially after Phoenix.
If NASCAR comes out and just runs normal tires, I will have many questions. But as you can tell at the time we're recording this, we're not sure what's happening on the tire side yet. But I agree with you. I think we're going to see some close quarters action. Hopefully some ability to pass. I know it's Martinsville, but still, good Martinsville has ability to pass. So let's get into our predictions for this week. And for me, I'm taking Chase Briscoe. Chase Briscoe has always been very solid at Martinsville. You listen to Kevin Harvick talk about him, say, at SHR, of the four they had there, Chase Briscoe is always the best at Martinsville. Big compliment from Kevin Harvick. Over his last 6 races, he has an average finish of 8.7 here at the paperclip. And you remember, almost snuck his way into the championship before via devil magic one year at Martinsville. So this guy's good here. We've seen a good run out of him now for JGR. Had the top 5 this past weekend in Miami. The fish scales paint scheme looks great. I'm giving him bonus points for that because I think it's absolutely deserved. So Chase Briscoe to victory lane for the first time in the 19 this weekend. Yeah,
one of my first thoughts after watching Las Vegas was I think Micah's going to pick Briscoe for Martinsville. Just because if you've been watching, all he does is talk about Briscoe whenever he gets a shot. Very high on him. Has him in his Final Four, right?
I do.
Yeah.
I think it's not out of the question. I think give him time to settle in. I still think this is a very good driver. I think he's going to prove himself over the course of the year.
I'm going with another guy who's been historically great here. That's Joey Logano. I know Joey Logano hasn't had the finishes he's wanted this year.
He snubbed Cody Ware again.
I know. He'll get there. He'll get there one day. But yeah, Joey Logano, just week in and week out, has started every race amazingly. I don't know what happens in the middle of the race where he just ends up nowhere. But I mean, he's got the stage wins. Martinsville is so much more important about track position than any other track we've been to this year. And he's going to qualify well. So I think he qualifies well, gets that track position. And it's Joey Logano at Martinsville. He's not afraid to bump you. He's not afraid to not let you bump him. He's got an average finish here of 5.2 in his last 6, which is second to only Ryan Blaney, who's in another Penske car.
Yeah.
And Ryan Blaney has been almost...
go back-to-back Blaney. To be fair, he always wins in the fall here.
I was going to say, I'm thinking about it now because he's been like unbeatable here the last few times we've been here. He's been very good.
I think for me, usually you look at recent Martinsville, it's been Hendrick in the spring, Blaney in the fall the last few years. So I kind of understand. I do think it's funny neither of us have gone with a Hendrick guy. I'm also kind of surprised you didn't go Chase Elliott. He was high on my radar. I know Elliott has not looked good the last couple weeks, but
he didn't run well at Martinsville last
My thing is, though,
fall.
You look at short, flat ovals, Bowman Gray dominated Bowman Gray. And that's part of my logic for Briscoe.
Hey, I'm not going to hate it. Well. So, I'm not going to hate it if he wins there. But I just think Joey Logano is going to have, because all the talk, through 6 races, the last champion hasn't got a top 10 in points.
He got a top 10.
He hears all that talk.
He got a top 10.
But yeah, I mean, still though, one. But he hears all that talk, and I think he's ready to kind of I am the champion. He's gonna come out. He's gonna win a race this year, and I think it happens in Martinsville.
Well, if it comes down to fuel, we know he can save at the pump.
And this last year he did.
Yes,
oh my gosh.
Nashville.
Yeah.
I'm still not totally convinced he didn't have 8 gas tanks in that car. But moving on to the dark horse picks now. I'm going with a guy that Keegan says doesn't count as a dark horse, and that's Ryan Preece. Now, my logic for this is
he's 16th in playoff points. That's my logic.
I think if you go out and ask people who are the top 15 or 20 drivers you expect to win this weekend at Martinsville,
I'd put him in the top 20.
I don't think a ton of people say Ryan Preece on that list, especially top 15. I think if you've...
Maybe top 15.
Okay, let's use 16. Top 16, because that's your playoff caliber drivers.
Yeah.
Let's say, who's in your top 16 possible winners for this week at Martinsville? I don't think people are saying Ryan Preece. So I'm going to say it counts because I am co-owner and co-host of this podcast, and I say it counts. The Ryan Preece does have a 14.5 average finish here at Martinsville, driving some not great equipment, let's be honest, and coming off 2 back-to-back top 10s. I think he's hot right now. So give me Ryan Preece. And the guy you're going for is someone I also considered. So who do you have?
Yeah, he's got, I'm not really going to talk about his average finish because he's only been here once. That's SVG. But I kind of remember like, recalling the race last year, and I remember he was not afraid to bump you. Like, he got with the program quick. He realized in the first stage, oh, this is how we run here. Got it. And once he figured it out, worked his way towards the front. I think he spun out.
Yeah.
And like late in stage 3.
He was running solid though.
And then worked his way back up to a top 12. Which is very good for especially your first time at a track. So I think SVG is going to do pretty solid here. Hasn't run super well this year, but this, like we said, different track. First time on a short track all year. Could possibly be, something we see that team kind of get under wraps. But yeah, let us know if you think the dark horse format, if we should set a points line for like this is where they are at this far in the season. If they're in the playoffs, they're obviously not.
I think it has to be track dependent. I think it counts for Preece this week. But one thing I do want to say on SVG as well, part of the reason I considered him is because I think, you remember the Clash? Both of us are watching that. We expected him to be nowhere. And he was solid at the Clash. Made some moves, was up there running okay. So don't hate that dark horse at all. So we'll have to see what happens this weekend. Hope you guys enjoy this weekend in Martinsville. Hopefully it's a good one. Hopefully next gen doesn't next gen too much and we see some good Martinsville racing. But like Keegan said, let us know what you think about the Ryan Preece dark horse. Like I said, I think it counts, but we'll have to see what the opinion of the people is. But for now, this has been GTD. That's Keegan. I'm Micah. Enjoy the racing this weekend and some basketball.